let's finish this really quick, okay? Because they're attacking Tim Sheehy in Montana because of his ability, because he's a veteran that decided to move to Montana and start a business in Montana. The Democrats are literally attacking Tim Sheehy because he is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL that decided to come to Montana and start a business. And the Democrats think that's so terrible and horrible, and he should never be in the U.S. Senate because of that. It's like, what? Excuse me? So Kendall Cotton wrote a piece, Election Crabs in the Bucket. I don't know about you, but I can't wait for this election to be over. It's that point in the election. Oops, sorry about that. Cycle where the political ads have turned from simply annoying to downright disgraceful. Mudslinging, character assassination are the norm. This year it seems like the national political powers that have decided we Montanans are get extra helping of destructive class resentment in our ads. Because Montana's getting massive amounts of outside money spending in our elections that are pushing all of these class resentment ads for sure. You know the ads I'm talking about, the ones that slam people who moved to Montana decades ago and became wealthy building successful businesses here as carpetbaggers and rich out-of-staters. Or how about the ones that attack candidates for owning a nice home they rent out to tourists on vacation? Or the ones that sneer disapprovingly at people who, gasp, happen to have bought a nice ranch in central Montana? I have some questions for the people who write these ads. If becoming successful from building a business in Montana is not representative of Montana values, then what is? And what good is a value system that doesn't celebrate the hard work, dedication, and smarts it takes to be a successful entrepreneur? I'll answer these questions just momentarily here. So it's not representative. What they say would be Montana values. Obviously, building a business, coming out to Montana, homesteading Montana, building a business here in Montana, building a life here in Montana. That's not Montana value. What is? Well, what is what John Testa represents, which is dependency on the government, collectivism. That's Montana values according to them, which of course it's not. It's the opposite of Montana values. And what good is a value system that doesn't celebrate the hard work, dedication, and smarts it takes to be a successful entrepreneur? No good at all. Should Montanans never aspire to own a mansion in Big Sky or a nice piece of ranch land? Why not? Yes, we should. That's what I would love most. I would love to have a ranch. If I ever make it huge, I'll buy a ranch. It's the first thing I'll do. Literally, one of the first things I will do if I ever make it big and make a lot of money is buy a ranch. And the Democrats are attacking that and saying that's horrible. How dare he? How dare he buy a ranch? Give me a break. This is a great piece. Great job, Kendall Cotton. Why should someone moving to Montana, bringing their families, jobs, businesses, talents, wealth, etc. with them be considered a bad thing? Genuinely, please explain that. Seriously. Exactly. No, it's just class resentment. It's Marxism. That's exactly what I'm assuming that's where he's going. I haven't ever even read this before. This is the first time I'm reading this. At what point exactly does someone who moves here become Montanan? I'm a fourth generation Montanan, born and raised in the Bitterroot Valley. Do I count? No, Kendall Cotton, you're too conservative to be considered a Montanan according to them, I'm sure. You ought to be thrown in the gulag. As I've watched and listened to the political ads this year, the term that sticks in my mind is crab in the bucket mentality. It's such a good analogy. It's such a good analogy. Google defines crab in the bucket mentality as a metaphor that describes a toxic dynamic where people try to hold others back from improving themselves. The metaphor comes from the idea that if a crab tries to climb out of an open bucket, the other crabs will pull it back in, ensuring the group's demise. In human behavior, this translates to people trying to reduce the confidence of others who achieve success out of envy, jealousy, or other feelings. And of course, I've said all the time that Marxism and left-wing Democrat policies are based at its core based on jealousy and envy, which are, of course, horrible sins. The class-based political attacks we are seeing this election imply that supposed real Montanans are not and could never be wealthy and successful, which, of course, the opposite's true. Some of the most Montanans are wealthy and successful. That moving here, and again, it's like moving here is what Montana's about. This is a homesteaded state. That's core to who we are as Montanans. Holy smokes, this is a great piece. Moving here, building a business in Montana that employs hundreds of people, selling it for millions, and using your wealth to enjoy our beautiful state and give back to your community is somehow something we Montanans should despise. That is toxic crab in the bucket mentality, and the powers that be seem to think that Montanans will fall for it. In many ways, we already have. In our state's early days, the predominant spirit of Montana was the exact opposite of crab in the bucket. Excuse me. At the turn of the century, cities like Butte and Helena were melting pots full of different races, religions, classes, creeds. Our state used to have a great reputation of openness and friendliness. What drew many people to Montana was this idea that anyone could stake a claim, take risks, become successful. We were the land of opportunity where immigrants and pioneers started a new life. This was a positive and ascending frontier spirit that made Montana great in the first place. We should want Montanan to mean anyone, longtime residents and newcomers alike, who embrace the frontier spirit. We should want Montanan to mean success and wealth and prosperity and vitality. And we should reject the toxic crab in the bucket mentality foisted on us this election season, which claims being a Montanan is anything less. Kendall Cotton is president and CEO of the Frontier Institute, a Helena-based think tank dedicated to breaking down government barriers so all Montanans can thrive. Wonderful piece. Wonderful piece. Calling out the entire left-wing, the entire campaign against Tim Sheehy, because they don't have anything else. The Democrats have nothing else against Tim Sheehy. Tim Sheehy is set to be United States Senator. John Tester is set to be thrown out of office because he's a dirtball Washington, D.C. corrupt fat cat. So he's getting thrown out. And Tim Sheehy's, and all they've got against him is this class warfare, envy, hatred. And it's like, nothing on policy. To the extent they even talk about policy, they just lie about Tim Sheehy's positions. Anyway, the only question I would have for Kendall Cotton is, when you say in here, in many ways, we already have, what do you mean by that specifically? I mean, I could come up with, several explanations for it myself, but I'd just be curious to know what exactly that sentence means. Maybe you could do an entire piece expounding on that one sentence.